What's going on, guys? This is Itzner from thenerdherd.com with a new game review for you today. So we're going to be taking a look at an iPad game. Now, previously, The World Ends With You by Square Enix was a game on the Nintendo DS, and it is arguably one of the best, if not the best, Nintendo DS RPG available. It's developed by Square Enix, it's produced by Jupiter. It's a very, very good RPG game featuring protagonist Neku Sakuraba, and it's really known for the music in the game. So games like Persona, games like The World Ends With You, Final Fantasy games in general, those games pretty much always have awesome soundtracks to the game, and this game is no different. So the solo remix version of this game, which is exclusive to iOS devices, iPad, iPhone 4S and up, and iPod Touch, the newer ones anyway, features a redone soundtrack. So there's remixes on the game, aka the solo remix title on the title screen, and pretty much features the same levels, redrawn sprites, added HD's audio, so the voice acting is redone as well, and pretty much it leads for a great experience on the iPad. So I've already started playing this game before, so I'm going to make a new game, and we're going to start off deleting everything, and this is going to be a new walkthrough for the game. So some of the new features on the game are, for example, the scanning. When you scan for noise, you are able to customize it. So let's say you want to search on Twitter for a tag or a phrase, it's going to start pulling in the popular phrases that's coming in through the Twitter search. So that's pretty interesting, is getting in things like that. Only problem is that because it's getting in things from Twitter, so you will find profanity and obscene language and things like in that manner. So just be prepared for that. But those are some of the new additions added to the game to make the experience a lot better and a lot more fun, especially take advantage of the fact that you are able to connect to the internet.
I got my values.
So the beginning of the game, the title screen anyway, and the introduction is pretty much the same as it is on the Nintendo DS. There are new voice acting in it, so you get to hear a lot of the characters talk as well. And once we actually do start playing the game, you'll see like the redrawn sprites and see how everything has been optimized for the HD screens. Now, this is an iPad 2. It's not one of the newer iPads where they have the Retina display with the insane resolution. So you won't be able to see exactly amazing visuals here. However, if you do have an iPhone 4S or above, or 4S or above, and one of the newer iPads, then you will definitely see really high definition gameplay on this. So just going through the cutscene, through the introduction of the game, it's pretty simple. We are introduced to Shibuya. Shibuya is a city in Japan. This is where the game takes place. Only instead of it taking place in the real Shibuya, it takes place in the UG or underground version of Shibuya. So where the UG and the RG are pretty much together, they're also separated. People in the RG cannot see you if you're in the UG. Only people who can see you and interact with you are other players to the game, and people called Reapers. Reapers are like the antagonists of the game. So starting off with Neku. Neku has lost all of his memory. He has complete amnesia. He only knows his name, where he is, and basic knowledge. But he has no idea what he's doing here. He has no idea much about his past, except that he just doesn't like people. He is a loner, so to speak. He prefers to be alone, doesn't want to be bothered by other people, believes people hold him down. And let's see, we're going to start the game here. We're going to start by scanning. So in order to scan, you have to press the player pin at the bottom right of the screen. So you see here, Neku's sprite has been completely redrawn. We have to start using the pin right away. Alright, so let's just use the pin first. Hey, what's up? Okay, and when we use the pin, we're able to hear all of the noise surrounding us, basically hearing all of the people in the area. And later on, you can customize it, like I said, with Twitter. But for now, let's just see what people have to say. Hopeless. It's a little bit too bright. Let's lower the brightness. Oh no. Let's go back into the game, but let's lower the brightness. Okay. So you can see a little better. All right. And you're basically able to read the minds of the people in the area. Let's get out of there. Oh, yep, definitely voices. So basically you gain abilities because of these pins. Neku is a special case. He's able to absorb, well not absorb, but use multiple pins. Whereas other characters tend to usually rely on just one pin and have one ability. Neku can customize his abilities based on all the pins he's wearing. You can get up to a maximum of 6. You start off with, I believe, 1 or 2. Don't really remember 2, even though I started the game recently, a week ago. But let's just go through. And in order to get through the game, so to speak, that you're in, you have to complete missions, and they give you a timer. And when that timer reaches 0, you have not completed the mission. You are essentially erased. When you're erased, you pretty much die. Combat in the game involves the noise, and when you fight the noise, you're transported into another version of Street. So there's 3 versions. There's the real G, the RG, which is the real ground, the UG, which is the underground, and the battle area, which is where you fight the Reapers. And the noise. Noise are those little bad thingies, creatures that attack you. So for example, the first noise we come into contact with are the frog noise. Relatively weak, they're not difficult to defeat. However, we don't have any attack pins at the moment, so all we're going to do is just go through the tutorials and just move around. So to move Neku around, you pretty much have to tap Neku and just drag around. So I'm using a stylus here just for the sake of not smudging up the screen, but you can play the game definitely with your finger. There won't be any issues. But, you know, you can just move around with the stylus. Quickly move around to have them dodge. And it's a good idea just to, get the hang of like moving around with this battle, especially since you won't die. So you're not going to get killed. But it's good to, get a sense of, how to maneuver around the area. Takes a little getting used to, but not bad. And when you want to leave, you just pause the game on the top left corner of the game, and we press gotta bounce because let's do that to continue on with the tutorial. So we obtain the sticker dash. So you go through your inventory, you can see the stickers, you can see the kind of things you can do, and book our tutorials or not tutorials, just instructions into the game. So you can always go back and you can always reread all of these things, telling you how to move, how to attack, how to escape, and whatnot. So as you see here, he's setting for help, but nobody can hear him. That's because people in the RG cannot interact with people in the UG. They don't see you, they don't know you. You're completely invisible and you just go right through them. So it's like you don't exist. Just like on another plane, however, which is pretty much what they're trying to say. I really like the cutscene cinematics on this. Now remember, this was originally for the Nintendo DS. So you can imagine that seeing something like this on the NDS is really nice. The Nintendo DS, however, did have a secondary screen, so there was added combat with that secondary screen. You can control your partner with the top screen, and you were the bottom screen, which was touch screen. They changed that here. They pretty much combined both screens in, and they've changed the partner battling system. So when you do battle with your partner, it's through tapping on the enemies. So we'll see more of that once we get our first partner. And I really like this intro screen because you get to see pretty much every single character that you come into contact with or that has some sort of influence in the game early on, which is pretty cool. You'll see what and who everybody else is. Reapers are distinguished from players by the fact that they have black wings. So anytime you see a character with black wings around their Reapers, if they interact with you outside of stores, because inside stores in certain areas that have the Reaper sigil, you are able to purchase items and interact with the people inside the store. But when you're in the outside, if there's no Reaper sigil in the area, or the person has wings and they're not a player, you can pretty much assume that they are Reapers and they'll try to race you. Although that's not every case. There are a few characters that don't do that. So here are 2 Reapers in particular. Their game just started. This is day 1 of the game. And they're just, talking about the game. Basically, the more players they erase or kill and gain points, the longer they live. Reapers who have no more points pretty much get erased themselves. So the Reaper's job is to erase players so that they can stay alive. And that's them. They get more. They gain importance later on in the game when shit starts getting real. But it's the beginning of the game, so it shouldn't be any problems. And we're not going to meet too many people. And right about now, I believe we're going to meet our first partner. You see, those are the noise, and when the noise attacks people, they get transported to a different area where they fight the noise. For the most part, most of the people get erased, so you don't have to worry about them. They're already gone. Yeah, they're gonna get them. And here we go. This is our first partner. This is Shiki. Shiki battles with a stuffed cat thingy that she made. And all she knows is telekinesis, or limited telekinesis anyway. So here's our partner. Here is our first time battling with our partner. So she gives us our first fighter pin, which is a fire. We're gonna start battling, and now we battle. Okay, so I pretty much tell you how to battle. You battle by interacting with the touchscreen. So that first pin we receive, which is the fire pin. I forget what it's called, but I know it's a fire pin. We activate its psych by dragging around the screen and just drawing around with the fire. So literally by just dragging and moving around while the pin is active, you're able to use the psych, which is what they're called. Here it explains that you can't use them indefinitely. They do empty out, and then you have to wait for them to reboot before you can use them again. So that's always something. You need to pay attention to the top left corner of the screen to see how far your pins are. So moving around, and this next, okay, right here again, we got 2 enemies this time, so we're just gonna keep attacking. And generally, when enemies are being attacked, they tend to leave you alone, so you don't have to worry about getting attacked while using a pin. However, there are enemies that counter that, so always be aware of that. Okay, that's pyrokinesis. Yep, great. Okay, so more dialogue and interaction with our new partner. And she pretty much, gives a limited explanation of what this stuff is. Remember, Neku is still unsure about what's going on around him, and he still hates depending on people. Really doesn't like people. So putting Neku up, partnered up with the very friendly and active Shiki, I guess. Neku's very passive, Shiki's very active. It's a real dynamic change for Neku in terms of his personality. The whole game focuses on the changing of Neku's personality, pretty much, which is a real big basis into the ending of the game. We'll get to that episode, you'll see. See, he has no idea what's going on, and he likes to talk to himself. So right now he's completely ignoring her. So you gotta imagine what she's, she's asking him, yo, what's your name? Something wrong? And he's just thinking to himself. And then he just leaves. He's really rude in the beginning. Pretty much in order for you to survive in the game, you need to have a partner. So there's always that. And let's open up, see people getting new phones. I really like this game, I have to say. This was one of the first real games I purchased for my NDS, and well, I'll be honest, I downloaded this on my R4. It was one of the first games I ever got on my DS because it was through an R4, and I actually got the R4 just to play this game because when this game came out in 2007, it was a very small amount produced and published in the United States during its first run. So it was really hard to find. That's a really look, and I after looking, couldn't find it. So I had to get a ROM, and I played it on my R4. And after a year, 2 years, I played the game. I beat the game, put the game away, and then I got my 3DS, and I wanted more DS games to play. So I went hunting, and finally found the used copy of the game at a GameStop somewhere. I live in New York, so I had to go really far downtown to get it, to some obscure, hipster neighborhood. And I was able to find the game there, and I was playing it on my 3DS, beat it again, and when I got my iPad, I was like, oh, I need to buy some games to play here, and The World Ends With You was one of my top picks. Luckily, I was able to buy this game a few weeks ago, I think it was last week, where it was on sale by Square Enix. They were doing a Christmas sale, and the game dropped from $18.99 in the App Store to $12.99. So I was like, yep, $7 price drop, I'm gonna buy the game now. So like I said, this game takes place in Shibuya. There's a bunch of areas, however, in Shibuya, and it's highly affected by pop culture. Well, not exactly pop culture, but more like Shibuya, Japanese fashion culture. Shibuya is notorious for being the center of fashion in Japan. So the clothes you wear, you're able to buy other clothes, and the songs all affect the trends in the area. So if you're wearing clothes that are not trendy in that specific area, you're gonna gain status defects. However, if you're wearing things that are very trendy in that area, you gain status bonuses. So we have to go to East 104, which is up top there, and we are met with a wall. So there's this block we can't get through. This is where the other types of Reapers come out. So the active Reapers are the other Reapers that have like a physical appearance that you can actually, teleport. Like those two that we're talking about, erasing Reapers in the game. Those are like active Reapers that attack you. These Reapers, the ones in the red jacket or in the black jacket, are passive Reapers. They pretty much set up tasks for you to finish. So let's say you have to attack all of the noise in this area in order for you to get past the wall, or you need to bring me a pin that has this make in order for you to get past the wall. Things like that. They set up barriers, and you have to fulfill the condition for us to get past the barriers. So the condition for this first one was to make a pact. So you had to make a pact with another player in order for the wall to break, and there we go. They still don't realize this yet, so don't worry. You're getting like a little heads up in front of everybody else. However, the ever astute Neku automatically knows what's going on and decides like, okay, whatever, let's go. But that guy was creepy. And we made it to 104. So we made it. The timer's gone. Who's this?
What?
Oh boy, more noise. So that female Reaper we met above apparently is here now, and she wants to tussle. So we're gonna fight her noise. Very rarely do you fight the Reapers directly. Like most of the time they just summon noise. When you do fight a Reaper directly, it's usually a boss battle. So here we're gonna start with the partner pin. The beginning of it is not much to it. You're just gonna be tapping the enemies in order for your partner to help you in the fight as well. However, later on you get a special pin where you can actually do special moves. So there's Neku. Up here is our pin, and this side is the partner pin. So you see here I have my Pyromancy, and I'm going to just tap on the enemy in order for Shiki to launch her attacks. And Shiki comes out with her cat bear thingy and just pretty much starts attacking. You do this in order to build up your sync rate, which is important later on in the game, or like the next few levels. You gotta increase your sync rate, so increase your damage output, and also to use the special player pins, which is like a group attack. It's pretty neat, and I really like what they did with them. They made them so in the DS you had to like a directional button along with the A, B, X, and Y button in order for you to power up the partner pins. But here they put like mini games for you to do in the screens, and you're able to build up the level of the attack. So I'm just gonna regularly attack this guy because I just want to get him erased pretty quickly. Oh no. Okay. And we're just gonna attack these guys. And just hit them with the pyro move until they both die and they're both dead. When you get more pins, there's more variations to the types of attacks you can do, so just remember that when you get later on into the game. And more ones. So there's different sizes of noise. There's these small little cockroach looking ones. When you scan, you find the noise. Then there's, the medium, longer horse face noise. So that's how I signify them. And then there's the large elephant size, which is the one that just is coming out right now. So here, just talking about the sync rate. So you see our sync rate's at 50%. And as you keep dealing attack while switching between Shiki attacking and you attacking, you increase that sync rate. So you see whenever it gets blue like that, that means that your sync rate's going up. So all I'm doing is sending Shiki attack, hitting pyro, sending Shiki attack, hitting pyro, sending Shiki to attack, and doing pyro. And by doing that, I increase my sync rate, which is, like I said before, needed in order to do special player pin moves later on into the game. And sync rate's at 100, so all of your attack does a lot more damage than usual, and you get access to that special pin later on. Okay, so because this is a Square Enix RPG, there's a lot of items that are similar across. So you get Scarlet's Eye, you get Orichalcums, items like that. There's also a lot of item synthesis, which is pretty much you combine items in a store in order to unlock a new item. So there's a huge degree of customization to the game. whether it's with the food you eat to increase your stats. Yes, you can eat food here, and the clothes that you're wearing compared to the pins you're using and the brand of the pin. So not only is the fashion based on what you're wearing, but the fashion is also based on the pins you're wearing. So when this game came out in 2007, Shibuya, I guess in Japan in general, was highly into wearing pins. Like, you see now a lot of like nerds and geeks go around with the pins on their bags. That was hugely popular over there in Japan in 2007. So it really started off over there, and they got the fashion for the game, and that's how they came up with the pin system here. There's also a bunch of mini games, including using the pins like Tin Pin Slammer, which is something we get to play later on, where it's actually a lot of fun. I really enjoy playing that game on my DS. That was pretty much the only way to get multiplayer on it, so you can play against your friends. So there's always this here. Right now we're in the underpass area of Shibuya, and there's the mission. There's our phone. We have 60 minutes. This is the new one. This is set the cursed sculpture free. So we have to find the sculpture and set it free, so to speak. And we have 60 minutes to do it, or we fail the mission. Yeah, he really doesn't know. And this is what happens. After you beat a quest or you beat a mission, you pretty much black out, and then like a day passes. So there's 7 days per mission. There are, I believe, 3 weeks into this game, because there's the first game, the second game, and the third game. There's 3 games. So we get through 21 days here. And when you beat the game, there's like a bunch of added content to do afterwards in terms of getting like hidden items and playing through alternate storylines. So there's always that. You see he's talking to himself and she's trying to get his attention, which is typical emo loner stoner loner Neku. And Hachiko is the statue. So there's a lot of like talking to the game. So we don't get to access our cell phone right away yet. So let's go in here and try to get through the wall, and we'll notice we can't get through. Ow. For some reason it zaps you, I don't know why. What I really like is that they mention a lot of things about this, about Shibuya, like real places, so you get a sense of like the culture there. So Hachiko is this statue, where it's like a statue of a dog by the Shibuya train station. Basically, the story is, if I remember correctly, that this dog went with his owner there multiple times throughout his lifetime, and when the owner finally died, the dog just kept coming back here, and he stayed coming back there every day until he died. So in memory of Hachiko the dog, they put up the statue there for him. So pretty interesting. I like the storyline in the back. And I believe now we're gonna get to fight some noise. I wasn't paying too much attention, but oh yeah, we gotta scan them first, find out we can't scan them, and then more cutscenes. So I really do wish there was a way to really skip through the cutscenes, because sometimes it does drag and it does get annoying when you can't just skip them. But yeah, not yet. And here's when we start finding out things about other people. Pretty much gives us a condition, and then we get to go through the wall. And this is how we start finding noise. We have to scan. So in order for you to start seeing noise, you have to scan. And noise, in part, through the World's Review lore, is noise are the inner desires or realizations of people. So like when you scan people, you hear the noise of their mind. That noise becomes actual noise monsters. And here we start getting more pins. So Shigi's about to give us a bunch of pins, and we get to use them. And she knows that she can't only use one of them, and we get to use more of them. So we have to scan. And then we see that there are 3 noise here. Orange noise are mission noise, so in order for you to pass through a certain level or area, you need to defeat them first. So the first pin we're going to get is the sword pin. So sword pin automatically starts off fully boot. You don't have to wait for it to reload, and to use it, you simply swipe against the enemies. And in case you're wondering, your pins do in fact level up. So as they level up, they do more damage and more abilities. So sword is the swiping sword one is pretty simple. It's pretty common. You're gonna want to take advantage of the close rangeness of that. Also, it's decent damage. This is called Shockwave. The next pin we're going to try is, I believe this one might be the gun one. I'm not too sure. Oh no, the throwing one. So this is a telekinesis. We get to grab items and flick them around people. Later on, you get more advanced ones where you're able to control it. This one we're not able to control. We can only like throw things. So that's that. And then we're just gonna pyro. Let's get rid of that guy. There you go. Thought I had the shockwave with me. So that's the limited one. You can just flick things around. Soon, like I said before, you can grab things and you can, hit people with it. Like you got more control. And pins do evolve. So let's say, for example, I had that pin, and after I leveled it up enough, it evolved to be able to let me grab things and move them around and hit people. It would evolve like that. Okay, and here we have the lightning and the shooter. So I will start hitting him with lightning, and I get to shoot this guy with a gun. And then hit him with lightning.
So, who's next?
The most powerful pin set is called the Black Planet pin set. It is really difficult to get all of them. You need to do a lot of extra gameplay to get through, to get all of this, to get the whole set anyway. But once you do, it's extremely well balanced. There's like a icicle attack one. There's a shield that regenerates health. There's like lightning dashes that go across. It's really cool. So our point in the game would be to get the best pins as possible, as well as level up and get better stats so that we can go through the level. So here said, without each other we'd be helpless. Without a partner we can't fight noise, we die. So that's pretty much what he's trying to say. And like he deduced, he's one of them. He is a Reaper. And yes, we are psychic geniuses. That whole thing about having 2-player pins comes later on at the end of the game when there's actual importance in that. So don't worry about that right now. I actually found out when I first played the game that when I had 2 of them, I was like, okay, well, how do I equip it? And I spent a good while trying to figure this out, and then I was like, oh wait, it has to do with the story, never mind. So yeah, really a loner guy. And he left. Okay, male, 500 yen, and that's pretty much all there is to that level. So I'm gonna end the video here. This is episode 1 of the World Ends Review for iOS, specifically for the iPad. I'll try to do this one more frequently. I haven't stopped Persona videos. I haven't stopped my Ragnarok Odyssey videos. I am just taking a break at the moment, going through some copyright issues with YouTube in regards to the Persona videos. I actually threatened to take one of my videos down. I was just like, what? So as I get that issue taken care of, I'll be doing this in the meantime and other videos from my iPad. Alright guys, so this has been a Turn Door for the nerdher.com, and until next time, I will see you later.